Watch this. No way!
Hello and welcome back to the Cookie Jar Golf Podcast. I am Tom Mills and today I'm joined by Sam Williams.
Hi, Tom.
And Bruce Fitzpatrick.
Howdy, friends.
Hi, Bruce.
Nice to be back in the biscuit mill, isn't it?
The mill.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of a time away from Central,
Podding
from
live.
HQ from a while. We're podding live.
This is the first time it's ever actually lived up to its name, the biscuit mill, because I'm pulling shortbread crackers out of my arse here. From Jordan at Entourage Golf.
I don't think we need to talk about this right now, do we?
First
of all, thank you to Jordan
yeah.
for hosting us up at Royal Aberdeen. And he sent us a little gift box, which I put on the story, which was, I think it was the mega box, which was designed for maybe 20 to 30 people.
I was really looking forward to having some of that, actually.
Got around here today. I was really excited. A few little sweetie bars.
Yeah, take you back to your sort of school days of the tuck shop.
You've got to remember, I spent pretty much the first 3 months of the year on a shred. So when probably circa £100 worth of 10 pence bars arrived on my doorstep, I was going to take them down. There was going to be no thought. It was
But neat little
editing
insight
fuel.
into the diet of a Scotsman, though, isn't it? Really, some of that.
There wasn't any fruit or veg.
There were some Iron Brew jelly babies, though, weren't there?
Iron Brew,
Yeah.
They're
everything.
untouched. If you want those, they're untouched.
Yeah, I really don't rate them, actually. I'm just full disclosure. Yeah, I think the Iron Brew jelly baby for me is just mixing two good things, and they're just not as good as the individual constituent
it's actually
parts.
three good things because it's Iron Brew Millions jelly babies.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
And I don't know where the Millions comes into it.
Trap of too much.
Well, we're going down a slight little rabbit hole here, but we're gonna recap our
We're going to
latest
talk
trip
about
to
Jordan
Scotland.
and Royal Aberdeen,
Absolutely,
aren't we? In the
100%.
tour context. So,
So if we will give you the satellite view of this podcast, we are going to talk about the last leg of our Scotland trip, which was kindly sponsored by Where Golf Began, and we are going to just talk about the clubs that we played and the stories that happened on the trip. And if you're not interested in any of that, then you are free to just switch off right now.
Free to go and spend the next hour more
expecting
usefully.
Tour takes or anything like having Laird Shepherd and seeing the insight into an amateur champion, it's going to be nothing like that. It's going to be us just talking about world-class golf courses.
and pure conjecture.
Well, the itinerary is probably the starting point, isn't it? So previously we've done a Highlands trip and we've done kind of a sort of a 5 trip, haven't we, really? This one was a bit of a carryover from the things we didn't manage to cover off that we really wanted to. So, I mean, the driving was crazy.
Scottish biblical.
Yeah, and by the way, well driven, Bruce. I thought
Thanks,
Best driver in the jar.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you. Yeah, well, you were both very good passengers. So, no, it was good. We kicked off probably 11 a.m. sharp, didn't we? We left here
Father's Day.
on Father's Day.
Yeah, tough.
As you
tough
do.
sell.
Yeah.
Tough
So
sell.
well done to you two boys for managing to get that across the line. And we had probably a good sort of nice 5.5 hour drive, made it up to Prestwick in good time. Had a very good sort of June evening, really, just before the longest day, in fact. So we got out, played 18 holes. Tom and I, we'd not played it before. So, and to be honest, Sam, I mean, I know you said you played it before, but you weren't offering us loads in terms of
I couldn't actually
lines and
remember that much of it
guidance.
either.
I mean, you need to kind of know where you're going, really, when you go around there, don't you? But what an incredible start to the trip that was.
Were you boys expecting it to be that good? I think
No, I was expecting it to be. I wasn't expecting it to be a proper golf course, and I know that sounds very disrespectful, but I knew they had the Open, the first Open, they were the birthplace of the Open, and I knew they couldn't now hold an Open because A, it was too quirky, B, it wasn't big enough. So I was thinking it was going to be like this crisscrossy pitch and putt, like 5,000 yards, but it's a proper golf course. You know, I just thought it'd be a tiny bit Musselburgh, I suppose, in terms of as a golf course.
you couldn't be further from the truth with that.
No, it was. I was absolutely blown away by the place, and I mean, it's just the quirkiest golf. It's
I don't
the
think it
quirkiest
is.
golf
I
course,
don't-
but
I
it's
wouldn't
not
say it is.
trying to
Yeah.
be quirky. It's
Yeah.
not. I think a lot of golf courses now, do things to try and be cool or whatever, and like This is just built the way it was built because of the topography, and they just worked around it, and it's just a sweet golf course.
Yeah, and there's plenty of I don't want to say standard or like you kind of additional holes, but the fact that you've got a real mixture in there, and the start is really quirky. I mean, it still rewards great shots. You know, you have to really commit to your shots on a few of the holes. Like the tee shot on 3 is just so wacky.
That's crazy.
If you've not played it before,
Cardinal,
you don't have the benefit of the caddy. You're just like,
rough
what are you
description of the
doing?
hole.
But it's like, you know, it forces you into hitting sort of 2 long shots of probably a similar length. You probably need to hit a couple of 4 irons or 2 irons or something like that in, and then like I think were you saying, Sam, that a lot of people think the middle stretch from maybe holes 6, 7, 8 through to the middle of the back 9 maybe aren't quite as exciting. I actually thought they were all still really, really good, strong golf holes as well. I know that it's a lot more out in front of you, and you don't have the same blind shots that you maybe do on the first few holes and the last few holes. But like same as you, Tom, I thought I was just blown away by how fun it was to play, but also it being a real challenge. Like it's a proper test of golf.
When we stayed with Ducky a few days later out in East Lothian, he was telling us, wasn't he, about a friend that he played with who, for those that have been to Prestwick, you can tee off the 15th very close to the clubhouse, much like the first. Obviously, you start from the first every time I've played it anyway, which is not many. But he was saying they started off 15. Now, the course starts probably with 4 or 5 fairly crazy golf holes, finishes with 4 or 5 crazy golf holes. So he went out with an American guy on 15, and after they've played through to about the 4th or 5th, he's like, this place is nuts. It doesn't feel that way if you start off the first, because the first with the railway line, that's a really neat golf hole. I think it's quirky, but it's still a really good golf hole. It's kind of like a more cramped version of Woking 4, perhaps. You know what I mean? It's not a million miles off that sort of scene. 3rd, par 5, great golf hole. Himalayas, par 3, the 5th. You know, again, iconic over those sleepers. But then you get a nice little respite where you get into, like you say, I think more traditional golf holes.
It was quite nice for all the tours we've done together now, chaps. I think, you know, we finished the 7 or 8 hour drive or 5 hour drive, whatever it is, and I'm always the guy that, you know, flares it into the sea for the first tee shot of the day, and have to look around at you two boys and going, I've been in the car for 5 hours. I can hit another, can't I? and to not have that, and actually to watch Sam squirm after the first tee shot.
5 wood straight into the.
My foot's playing up.
That was Monday. That was Monday. I went out a chronic case of gout.
But that tee shot on the first at Prestwick, for those of you who haven't played it, it's all the way down the right is just the railway line, and it's basically saying, can you not slice a ball?
Would you say the railway line's fearlessly incorporated, or?
It was incorporated, boldly, some would say. But it's a great hole, and you get 3 is another great hole, and then it's just an absolutely fabulous golf course. And we can't obviously not talk about the back sort of few holes and get to.
Remember what the 15th's called?
Yeah, so
This is observation of the tour for me.
Well, yeah. So the context being that, as Tom was saying, you and I both expected it to be a fairly innocuous kind of test of golf, very wide open, quirky, just short and just fun to play. And obviously, you know, nothing could be further from the truth. It is actually quite a stern test, certainly through those first few holes. And I'm thinking going around, this place is absolutely nails. And we get to the 15th hole and you see the name of the hole is narrow. And you're just thinking, right, okay. The course is not wide open by any stretch. And if this is supposed to be a narrow golf hole, and sure enough, like...
There is nowhere,
there's not really much to aim at off that tee box.
It's got to be a 10-yard fairway. It can't be much more than that.
Yeah, maybe if you can kind of use some of the undulations or the slopes just to feed the ball back in, but it is not... I
think a member would know where to play, wouldn't they? But if you've played it a few times, it is... I mean, it's too much almost. There's nothing to aim at. What was your guys' take on...
Didn't Narrow have like the most ridiculous green?
Yeah, that was another one. Pitched up on about sort of 15%, wasn't it?
So you got the narrowest fairway
front left
in
to back
history,
right.
And probably the steepest green in history.
The greens are great as well, aren't they? I mean, they obviously can't have them that quick. What was your boys' take on 17?
Amazing.
Obviously, the oldest hole in Championship golf, Alps. Good hole today still?
Yeah. I mean, you've got to hit a really good tee shot to find the fairway and have if you start going off the beaten track there, it's just you probably will find your ball, but the lie, you need a really, really good lie to hit that green with your second shot. And yeah, it's just dramatic, isn't it? Coming at that stage in the round, if you play it as you say, Sam, if you play it in the normal order, you play you play from the first out. It's like, if you've got a match or something else riding on it at that stage in the round, it's a brilliant hole to.
I just think taking 4 there in 1800s with hickory equipment, bearing in mind the Sahara bunker. So when you play over that dune on 17, again, if you haven't played Prestwick, it's sort of you play up over a blind dune, don't you? You've got absolutely no idea where you're going, and it's kind of like a false front. There's probably another 40, 50 yards beyond that where it dips down, huge kind of sleeper face bunker called Sahara bunker in there, and hickory equipment 150 years ago, I'm not backing my ball striking to hold up under that. No way. Making 4, it's incredible.
You've got to absolutely slot one, haven't you, down the fairway. But there's just so many holes there, and actually we haven't even touched on it yet. But the history of the place and the clubhouse is,
out this world.
Yeah, equal, if not maybe exceeds the standard of the golf course, which is saying something. And spending some time with Andrew Lockhead and Ken Goodwin, the secretary, was brilliant because they were so knowledgeable about and so passionate about the club that they obviously look after. And it was just a brilliant way to kick off the tour, wasn't it?
It's really interesting because we've just obviously on this trip done Nairn as well, and they've got the archive room, and you go in, and we've been to see this incredible archive room at Nairn, and everyone said, that's cool, but you wait till you get to Prestwick. And I was like, okay. So I was expecting this like archive room, and you go in and it's just
like a bank vault.
Yeah, it's just a bank vault, like pretty much this huge safe. And they're like, oh no, we don't do anything in here. They just get the stuff out of the safe and bring it to you, and then they bring down, because it's all paper based stuff. All the history is paper based. So they
have digitized quite a bit of it, I think. But seeing the paper copies, as you say, is
bringing out the first, the scorecard that Willie Park won with the first Open, and the first hole-in-one from young Tommy Morris.
It's incredible. It's just incredible stuff.
It's amazing stuff.
Like, seeing the way they used to score as well.
By using
the dash. Because they used to have someone that followed them round as a scorer, so would just be marking down kind of cricket runs like a scorer would mark in a cricket game. Like that, and you're like, what?
Well, there was no concept of par back then either. So when we're talking about the original 12-hole layout, because this will all hopefully be kind of well documented in the film we do on Prestwick, but the story of Prestwick is really like so deeply intertwined with the story of the Open Championship, in that the first 12 Opens, is it maybe more than that, are held at Prestwick, added to which old Tom Morris is the one who really lays out the course there. So, he has a huge impact on the development of Prestwick. And the original 12 holes that he laid out was obviously a much shorter course, and the first hole was 578 yards, and they didn't have any concept of par back then.
No.
But I think the story is that young Tommy Morris had a 3.
Alps.
He had a 3, didn't he?
He made a 3. It was I think it was like 600, wasn't it? 578, something like that. Made a 3
with a feathery ball, which probably would have gone under 200 yards.
Yeah.
It was like
when he hit his best shot.
Sort of albatross,
he'd probably hold out from north of 150 yards.
It'd be like holding out for 3 on a 900-yard par 5 today, wouldn't it? For a professional golfer.
Probably.
Roughly.
You get the impression,
slot 3 drives and the third one goes in. It's
you get the impression Tommy Morris was a
good Joseph conjecture.
Well, I think we put the thing up on. I know we're going on quite a bit here about Prestwick, but we put the scores out, that hole-in-one scorecard on social media the other day. Someone came back and was like, he's beaten him by something like 22 shots, but that's over a 36-hole span. So that would be equivalent to 44 shots in a 72-hole play. But then someone said, well, actually, there was only, I think, 10 or 12 people playing.
Yeah.
So someone said, well, if you account for the fact that it's only 10% of the size of the field, the gap still comes down to a crazy number. It's kind of... It's pretty much like Tiger Woods at Pebble Beach in 2000, plus, kind of Tiger Woods
shots
in 2019 as well. It's that kind of that
plus
level.
Rory at
It's that miraculous, all blown all together.
Tell you what was quite cool about Prestwick as well, though, is they had on the scorecards they had the par and the bogey.
Yeah,
and
nice
they
touch.
weren't necessarily one above the par. Like some some bogey scores were 1 over and some were what it should be. It was quite cool.
So yeah, that's what. Yeah, I don't know when par was brought in, but as you say, I've got par on some of the scorecards there. So yeah, I guess.
And a bogey scorecard as well, though, that you can play to.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So and that's where you play essentially match play against the course itself. Yeah,
That's
very cool.
Very cool.
Just moving away from Prestwick ever so slightly, we obviously stayed over in Troon on the Sunday night. I don't know whether...
Why is it obvious that we stayed in Troon?
Well, I suppose it's not obvious we stayed in Troon. It's just obviously we stayed in Scotland and we happened to stay in Troon.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what the play was on sort of 2:30 finish watching the US Open, but that really set me back a few days.
Yeah, I did not feel
I was
good.
very sleepy for the rest of Monday.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only, I was quite annoyed with myself when I've chunked a 5-iron about 100 yards off the first tee at Prestwick the next morning. Then I was like, to be fair, I've just driven 5.5 hours, gone to bed at 2:30 a.m. and got up at 5:30
Had
or
a
whatever.
curry at midnight, back
and
up
a few
at 6.
scoops as well. So,
But it was a nice throwback to the old tours that we tried to get some food after finishing them, but just basically
Just
being
couldn't,
told no. So
I love the risk of being away and knowing that you pretty much might not get hold of dinner that night. And
but it's almost a game of
still...
chicken, though, isn't it? It's like we all, the three of us, we all want to be known with one another as being like the most hardcore, sort of golf obsessed, but also wanting to get good content. And it's like the first person who mentions food is almost seen as the weak person. So
it's always you
I feel like
it
no one mentions. Well,
it
it gets to a point where it's like, okay, lads, it's 10 p.m. We should probably think about getting some dinner now. And
Bruce is a hangry little monkey.
It is right, though. It is like chicken with the dinner because we're just like playing golf.
Yeah.
So then we did the same thing on Monday because we played Prestwick. I was suffering with gout. I tapped it round Prestwick and managed to actually played all right, to be fair.
We've worked out you play better when you pat the ball around.
Yeah, I did really tap it around there, to be fair. But then we drove up to North Berwick, thought, right, let's just get ourselves set. Let's have a bit of dinner. Let's maybe go out and drone the course a little bit.
Don't need to play, though.
Maybe even walk a few. Get in the car for half an hour. I think we can probably get 18 in tonight. Right, sod this. Dinner plans, forget it. We'll eat on the fly. Let's get to North Berwick. And that was stop 2.
Yeah.
You've done North Berwick. We hadn't, had we?
Yeah. I guess it was a bit of a rush, wasn't it? We did, how many holes did we do? So we played out to 8. And then, am I right in thinking we caught 12 back in, didn't
13.
we?
No, 12 in.
12, yeah.
So maybe we missed out 8, 9, 10, 11, did we? We missed out the par 5, basically, from the par 5 through till 12.
It was 12. It was 12, yeah.
And played in. Got some good drone footage. What were your impressions going in?
I felt the experience of playing North Berwick felt different that first night than it did the second day.
Right.
Because there weren't so many people on the course.
We were basically the last people out on the first.
So we went off at 7 p.m, getting proper kind of twilight golf in. The next morning, I've forgotten, I think we teed off at about 8:30 or something.
No, 10 to 8.
Yeah, so we're still out quite early. But when you're coming back and everyone else is going in, and again, if you haven't played North Berwick, like a lot of classic links courses out and back, shared fairways or sort of, you're in close proximity to a lot of groups. It felt a little bit like playing in Dunkirk. I felt in the second day, whereas that evening felt like it was just
pretty
very peaceful. I mean, the course is insane. Like
that goes back to the point about Prestwick, though. Really, I think the reason we enjoyed that so much, both on the Sunday evening and the Monday morning when we played it, is because we were like the only ones there, really. And there's definitely, I know maybe it sounds a bit snooty, but it is just, for me at least, and I think you guys would agree, it's just nicer, isn't it, when you play a course that are kind of feel a bit more relaxed and you're not sort of sandwiched between groups and there's nowhere to go, which it felt like at North Berwick, didn't it, on that Tuesday morning.
And when you're trying to film, like, I think we've got good now at doing it on the fly, but still it does take a little bit longer. We tend to keep up with the group in front, but it's when you're getting people behind you, and you can see them waiting on the tee, but they weren't necessarily waiting because we were being slow, because we were having to wait as well.
Yeah.
It just puts a lot of pressure. You just feel like you can't suddenly, take your time and on your shots, or take your time on the filming, because
and just amble
you just feel
for
like
a
you
hole,
need to smash ball up there. And because the Scots, one thing they like to do is play quickly, isn't it? And feel like you're in everybody's way. And
the East Lothian way does get a bit much, I think. You notice that more than anywhere else in Scotland is the East Lothian pace of play.
Well, I think they just have a lot of people there that play golf.
Yeah. That's probably what it is. You're right. But I mean, in terms of North Berwick as a place, Your verdict on the course?
Well, just going to touch on your Dunkirk point. I mean, there's the 14th hole, which is called perfection. And if you're not perfect, you almost decapitate the person on the 6th, that par 3. Because if you push it a little bit, it basically lands. It's the driving line and the distance is perfectly just, you are plumb on the heads of whoever's on the 6th green or whatever it is, that par 3. Is it the 5th or 6th or something like that? And honestly, the amount of that little crossover bit there is quite interesting. And I think you need to be, if you play there a lot, and even if you don't play there a lot, if you go there, you need to be understanding that you are likely to murder someone, and someone is likely to murder
yourself, to be fair,
or someone's likely to murder you.
We've got to talk about this. So
what,
third hole at North
Would you call
Berwick.
it suicide or self-imposed homicide?
Right, third hole
we
at
have
North
to?
Berwick, set the scene. It's about a 440-yard par 4-ish. Bit more. Bruce wants to go more. It's downwind, 30-mile-an-hour downwind, would you say?
Okay,
Fairways are rock
That's just
hard.
absolutely not true, is it?
Right, okay, it's definitely the wind's on your back.
Sorry, Bruce wants to pick this up.
Yeah.
I'll tell the story. It's 480 yards. Bruce is it rescue off the tee into the wind.
Go rescue.
No, but look, I either come out of it as someone who's not very good at course management, or someone who just got
You've
an
hit a good
unlucky
3-wood,
bounce.
but it's got a good bounce down.
Yeah.
Okay, we
And
need to
the-
reset this because we've just
Yeah, so hang on. The
gone over the
third
place.
hole at North Berwick, long par 4, 2/3 of the way up, there is a wall that's been there for a good length of time, hundreds and hundreds of years. Bruce is probably, I would say, 8 feet back from this wall. The wall is probably no more than 3 feet high, roughly. And you're on a bit of an upslope, but you can tell by looking at the ball, it's like a pan-hard bit of ground. You've got to strike this thing 100% or you're going to be in trouble. And you've started waving away with what are you going in with, wedge now?
Yeah, so I thought it's fairly straightforward to clear this wall. I mean, you guys, after the fact, or
We were whispering.
even as I was lining it up, I probably had 160 in or whatever.
You did have 160.
Yeah, something like that. And you guys were like, "Are you sure you're going to take this on?" I was like, "Yeah, it's no issue."
Me and Sam are whispering
Now the firm is the
I wouldn't have backed my ball striking
you
enough.
wouldn't. You should have told me beforehand, but I probably would have cracked on anyway. To be fair, yeah, the turf was really firm. I mean, Prestwick. I keep mentioning Prestwick, but that it was interesting actually going from the wet coast or the west coast, whatever, over to North Berwick, and yeah, the turf is really firm. There was a family about 50 yards away ambling down
50 yards,
with
about 15. They were pretty
with a
close.
wheelbarrow and making some noise on the way to the beach, whatever, having a great time, which is brilliant. And I've just not made a good swing at this wedge, to be completely honest. Yeah,
Sort of
I hold my hands up.
lurched at it from 3/4 of the way back.
Should
I
have
need-
backed off. And
I
I've
must step in. He has knifed this
Yeah.
wedge into the wall. We all know Bruce hits a good ball. The coefficient of restitution of this wall was probably 1.0. It came back the speed that he hit it.
Yeah.
And it must have been going about 130 miles an hour and
Yeah,
could
it's
have
quite
missed
quick.
your face by about 3 inches.
So good.
I was a little bit rattled. I mean, I then had 230 yards in for my third shot. Which kind of tells you all you need to know. But yeah, I mean, high drama. Not made easier, to be honest, when Sam, about 2 seconds later, gets the camera out and says, "So how do you feel about that one then? Do you want to give us some remarks for the tour film? Can we have a look at your whoop on your heart rate?" At which point
Bruce, I'm off tour now. I'm off tour.
At which point I
I
nearly went and I nearly ran away. But
Well, you did run. You have to run back down the fairway.
yeah,
80 yards.
But that was a nice dramatic introduction to East Lothian again.
I tell you what, though, the proof is in the pudding, though. Faced with that shot again, maybe 4, 5, 6 yards off a 3-foot wall, you back in the ball striking.
Yeah, no, I'd do it. I would do it again.
I must admit, when I'm close to trees and things like that on a golf course, I'm very aware of it.
Really?
Yeah, it gets in your head and you're more likely to hit a bad shot.
I mean, a nice score is good, but my teeth is better.
I'd have done it again. I would have just let that family
Just
walk
come
by.
through
Just you go ahead and get yourself to the beach, have a great evening, and don't laugh at me when I nearly decapitate myself as I
Close call.
as I did that time.
But
So-
it's
Think North Berwick overhyped, or do you think, because we talked about this a little bit with Jordan, do you think it's
It's great fun, isn't it? I mean, it is
Yeah.
really, really good fun. As a course, as a test, I don't know if I'd want to play a lot of competitive golf around there, really. It's just quite a nice, fun place to go and play with your friends and have a nice chat and a nice sociable round of golf and not really worry about the score, I think.
Well, it's interesting. You've asked if it's overhyped, so you must have an opinion on this.
I think it was obviously some murmurings, wasn't it, when we were in the car? But I think I can't remember if I mentioned when we were chatting to Jordan, and we've got a podcast with him that'll go out as well at some point. But I remember my dad playing North Berwick when I was like 10 or 11, and him coming back and saying it was just absolutely incredible. But the thing I've got to remember is that's 25 years ago. There had been no social media. There was no reference point of go and check it out on YouTube, go and look at it on Facebook or whatever. And now I feel like when I played North Berwick, I'd already seen it. It was like, do you know what I mean? Like there was no surprise there. So I knew 13 was like, yeah, this is the pit. This is the one with the stone wall. And then you get up to the green, you're like, that's mega cool, but I've seen it. And then you go to 15, you're like, this is the Redan. I've seen a lot of this. You get to 16. Oh, this is the funky beer. It's green. I've seen this.
It's almost a bit like Sweeten's. Like it can never now live up to the amount of hype that it's had. Like everyone says it's so good. Like this is just the most incredible place. You've got to go there. And you're like, once you expect, we talked about this a lot on this podcast, once your expectation levels are that high, like it has to be unreal to meet what you imagine.
Well, there is another course later in the series we can talk about where you guys had high expectations going in.
And it delivered.
I think it's an interesting...
And North Berwick did deliver. But don't forget, it gets put on an enormous pedestal before you get there, and it is literally a site of worship. I mean, we're there. Tom Doak was over. He played it that afternoon. We were there with... some of the guys in his firm, I think, and you can tell this is a
on the
play.
Same day, Ronan Rafferty was there.
Ronan Rafferty, obviously got to see him on the tee, and it's a site of study for these guys.
Katrina
It's
Matthew
really,
plays the golf there. It's
of course, it is not. It's a seriously good place. I just think I'd have rather have played it and not seen pictures of it, because I think my feeling and my takeaway would have been different. And I think in some respects it just felt like a bit of a. Yeah,
I'd be interested to see what you think when you go back, because I obviously played it a few years ago, and I think the first time you play it, you're like, wow, this is so unique. There really aren't many courses that are just this sort of crazy and wacky and fun and just very like organic, I guess is maybe the best word. It's just been laid out. There's not really been that much thought. It's been very kind of gradual, almost piecemeal spurts of development there.
Encroachment.
And then going back a few years later, it's almost like, well, once you've seen it once, I don't know if there's quite as much enjoyment there. I don't know if you maybe get the same enjoyment and you kind of learn more and more things about the course and how to play it as you get at other places. I feel like there's some other courses you go back to and you just figure out a new little intricacy to it or a nice feature to it each time you go back. I don't know whether for me, North
I wouldn't
Berwick,
say it was nuanced.
Yeah,
I suppose it was what you're saying. It's all like it hits you in the face. It's
maximalism, isn't it?
Yeah. But there's no getting around the fact it's an absolutely great golf course. If you get the chance to play it, like 100%
in a heartbeat, would I play it? No question.
And if you're in East Lothian and you get the opportunity, like you grab it in a minute. I'm quite sure.
And I'll tell you what, also awesome playing with Andy. I know we talked about it previously. That was great. I'd have loved to have played a bit better for him as his partner. And Ducky as well, him coming out and watching him hit a few hickories around.
In the
and
old
stuff.
Tom Clobber as well. Brilliant.
Set up nicely for the film.
He's almost morphing into old Tom, isn't
He's such a showman, isn't he? I know he's probably listening to this podcast now, but he's such a showman. Comes out with the cigar,
just for show.
The +4s. We should never have gotten that bloody Mackenzie bag as well. Now he looks like the full ticket, doesn't he? But yeah, it was cool.
But from North Berwick, it was another
3 hours.
Monster journey.
Just a short 3.5 hours up to Cruden Bay.
Bay,
where we met Les Durno. He gave us a very, very warm welcome. We had a nice bit of. Probably the earliest meal we had of the trip, which was much needed at the reasonable hour of 8 p.m. Had some dinner, looking out across the course there and got some drone footage. And Cruden Bay, somewhere that none of us had played. And again, I think you probably put it in that Prestwick, North Berwick kind of bracket of very, very known for being very, very quirky and a bucket list course for a lot of people.
I'd say probably the most impressive clubhouse view, where you look out and you can see the bowl of pretty much 60% of the golf course. wow. Well,
See the
that's
dunes, can't you? And you're like,
very sort of, I mean,
Shit.
I'm not playing Ireland. I've seen a lot of, Irish golf courses and things on TV and stuff like that. And it reminds me of Irish links, those dune
grand
scale.
scale.
Huge.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to sleep the night before. I was so excited about Cruden Bay. And I think, those three courses, everyone says, oh, crikey, yeah. I mean, quirky in Scotland, you got Prestwick, North Berwick, Cruden Bay. They are kind of named in that sense. And I suppose it's probably worth, we played Royal Aberdeen the next morning, but I think for continuity's sake on the pod, we should talk about Cruden Bay a little bit here and how we enjoyed that. And I thought, for me, North Berwick, Cruden Bay going in with the top bucket list courses. Really keen to play them. I thought the opening stretch at Cruden Bay was first class.
Yeah.
Holes like 3, 4, 5 were just next level. Things like the bathtub green on 14.
You didn't
really
like
cool
6,
golf
did you,
hole.
so much?
I didn't rate it as a lot, but I'm clearly the outlier. A lot of people think that's a great golf hole.
Tom Simpson says his favourite golf
Yeah,
hole.
Tom Simpson thinks it's one of his favourite golf holes. I didn't.
It's a different animal with
Very
modern
odd.
equipment.
I thought that was a bit tricked up. 6, if I'm honest. But
it's a relatively, it's a par 5. I'd say it's a medium length par 5 with a big burn in front, but you can't see A, the burn, or B, the green. So it's
hit driver wedge. That's the way to play it.
pretty much, yeah. But you can, with modern equipment, I think it becomes less relevant because you can hit driver. I think you hit driver 7 iron.
8. Yeah, not a good one, but yeah.
8.
What was your take on Cruden Bay?
I mean, it's breathtaking. Well, the first hole is a really nice little opener. The second hole, you've got this. It's weird because Andy Johnson, the fried egg, talks about volcano greens and things, and he mentions Dornock's second, and there's a few other volcano greens. I haven't seen anything as volcano as Cruden Bay's second. I mean, it's a really short par 4. It's 340 or 50 or something like that, but the green is 20 yards above you, so it's like driver, and then how good are you?
Get it 6-iron wedge. I mean, driver's the wrong stick, really. You almost have to think about giving yourself the best yardage in, don't you? It's
great green, and it's just can you from anywhere between 160 yards? Can you stop it on this shelf? That's brilliant. And then got blind par 4 third, great. The par 3 fourth is. Made a mockery of me.
Yeah, you didn't enjoy that, did you?
Well, Les, right, if you're listening, couple of tips. If you're going to caddy for someone, don't tell them a shot they can't do, 1. 2, don't laugh when they don't do it.
Yeah.
None of it was your issue. So you tried putting, didn't you?
So it's another
front
raised green with a really, really big drop off at the front, but it's a par 3, so you should hit it. Long par 3, but you should hit it. But I've fell a cropper and come short, and ball's drifted down to maybe about 30 yards shy of the green. But again, it's a raised green. So
severe upslope. You're almost going about 90 degrees straight up.
I'm putting up a huge hill. And I've gone in a little divot first time. And Les, who's walked us around the course and said, I'll show you, where to go.
You've got a wedge out, haven't you? You had a wedge out
I'm
in
okay
your hand.
with a little wedge. I'm happy with that. I know I'll get on the surface and 2-putt at worst. So Les gives it there. No. Put that away. Putting all day. Now, I've just taken 40 putts in a medal. Putting's not my thing right now. And I just watched this ball go up and down for 4 or 5 shots.
I mean, the mistake's on you there for listening to him and just not actually
going and
not sticking wedge on.
Someone who's giving you all the best advice in the kindness of heart to go do one while you take your wedge out and
you've got
razz one
wedge
in
there.
tight.
If inland golf is your thing, you're not going to have that many opportunities to practice a sort of 40-yard putt.
Up a 10-yard slope.
Yeah, up a real slope. And that, I mean, am I being hypercritical here? But I feel with Cruden Bay, there's a lot of the early stretch where it's like false fronts. If you're short, it's the same thing over and over. It's like you can't be short. Otherwise, it's coming back to your feet every time.
Yeah, but I think what it does give you is you can be long.
Yeah,
I think nearly everywhere you can be long, and that's on you. That's on me. The course tells you that. You can see it from. Apart from the second, you can't be long there, but the other ones you can. You can go long, and it's not the end of the world. I've just misclubbed a lot and got punished a lot. But It's a fabulous golf course. And you get up on the top of the 9th. I mean,
that view is
that walk
amazing.
nearly broke Bruce in half between the 8th and the 9th.
Well, you're off tour there.
Look, I mean, off tour, probably an apt description. Yeah, I mean, we'd played Royal Aberdeen early that morning. Again, we're probably racking up a serious sleep debt by this point. And I'll admit, I'm nowhere near the man you guys are when it comes to dealing with very, very few hours of sleep. You guys are hardened fathers who are good at getting by on sort of 3-4 hours. And at this point, I was just flagging hard, walking up a 80 degree upslope for 5 minutes. I just got to the top and just sat down for 5 minutes or so. Amazing place to sit down because the views up there are incredible. And then kind of just gathered myself before playing the back 9, or the back 10 holes.
It's quite a tricky one, isn't it? Because there's those 3 courses we've talked about are all quirky, but they're all world top 100. I mean, they all are, depending on panels and stuff, they're anything between 40 and 70 in the world. Like we are incredibly lucky to be playing those courses and enjoying that. It's absolutely fabulous. If we had to kind of impart some review around it, my honest take would be there's probably a few weaker holes at Cruden Bay than I had maybe thought. There's probably a few where I thought they're a little weaker. Actually, they're not all knockout holes. But I think it proves the point that you don't need to have knockout holes on every single part of the course for it to be great. And I think where it lacked a few of those, it more than made up for in terms of the feeling you get there. I want to say kind of like a Brora feeling at Cruden Bay. A real community feeling, the fact that you feel so welcome, the fact that it is a proper community golf club. You drive away and you're like, I'm a bit sad I'm driving away, and you don't get that feeling at other places.
Kind of like the member for a day feeling. Actually,
I think so.
You get at
whereas
Cruden
on
Bay.
just a straight 18-hole analysis, I'd probably say North Berwick's got more stuff to engage you throughout the course, and I'd probably say Prestwick is the strongest course in terms of challenging the medal player. But I think there's you really are trying to split hairs with these things.
Yeah, with Cruden Bay there were more holes there. I agree with what you're saying there. There were a few holes at Cruden Bay which were, I think you described it rightly, saying knockout holes where you just get to the tee and you're just like, oh my god, you're not really thinking about playing the hole for a few seconds. You're just taking in the scenery and the, how amazing it all looks. But there are a few sort of weaker ones as well that you maybe don't get at a place like Prestwick or a North Berwick. But the feeling that you like, that warm kind of welcoming feeling you get going to Cruden Bay was really, really nice. That you couldn't have been made to feel more welcome by Les and Andy, the captain, I think we met as well.
Yeah, just everyone you met was just so welcoming, so nice. It's like, it's not even a joke.
Yeah.
Like, they were just such nice people who couldn't...
Hang on.
We get that everywhere we go.
They were nice until you try to take on the hill.
Well, I was just about to say, parting wisdom would be don't walk up the embankment.
Or down.
Or down it. Certainly not in Chelsea boots either.
It's a steep hill going down to the old clubhouse where they've now in the process of setting up a nice little museum, and they've put this really nice little walkway. But the walkway does a bit of a detour from where it's not.
We wanted to go Route 1, didn't we?
Yeah. And Sam's gone Route 1 up this hill with his Chelsea boots
Tom,
on.
I'll race you. What are you, 12 years old?
And he couldn't make it up the hill.
Leather soles are not forgiving.
Couldn't get up the hill.
On the Festuca in the leather soles, it was doing none of it.
I'm there thinking.
So he's there struggling, he's like wearing ski boots trying to get up this hill. Les walks out and goes, "What are you doing? We've just put this bath in
15 grand on that. What are you doing?"
Well, Les was absolutely incandescent. I was looking at it. I was looking at it thinking, this bloke was complaining he had gout yesterday on his foot, and he can that's why his golf wasn't up to the standard he wanted. What's going on here?
No, I was absolutely firing at it when I was injured.
Bay, stick to the paths.
Gout had gone. Yeah, definitely stick on the paths. Other things on Cruden Bay?
Very cool story, which hopefully we do a good job of conveying in the film. But really cool story in terms of how it was founded, and just some of the people who passed through there, and just the little twists of fate that kind of have led to the course being what it is today, and the club ending up in the position it is in. So
we'll save all those.
But we'll save all of that.
And a special shout out to Ian Devonish as well, putting us up.
Yeah.
Cruden Bay Hotel. Cruden Bay
Bed and Breakfast.
Cruden Bay Bed and Breakfast.
And we're through in our bonus round number 1 of the tour.
Well, Jordan, Royal Aberdeen. So
did a pod first and foremost, which we will.
Jordan's
be
been a good
releasing
friend of the pod, hasn't he, with us for some time. So Entourage Golf, I think we've mentioned him a couple
Thanks
of
for the
times now. Thanks for the sweeties that me and Bruce saw none of.
I love them.
Country member there said, look, you guys are up there, I'll come up, why don't we play a round at Royal Aberdeen? And I'm like, yeah, I've never played it, you've never played it, Tom.
I played it in a uni match years
biblical
and years ago,
conditions.
where it was just like get your sort of chin in your chest and just kind of walk forward and just try and survive, basically. So it was nice to see it on
And
a
whenever
proper
you
day.
read a description that constantly keeps telling you how good the front 9 is, you feel like you're going to play a 9-hole golf course, don't you? You feel like you're going to get to 9 and then it's like, I might as well walk in now.
Fade away.
Which was absolutely bogus. I didn't buy
the
into
back
any
nine's
of
great.
that at all.
Yeah,
Yeah, back 9 was brilliant.
Royal Aberdeen was brilliant.
The closing stretch on the back 9, like 16, 17.
Yeah. And the front 9 through the dunescape, I thought it was going to be a much more sedate version of a links course. We'd played 3 sort of like sensory overloads for a few days, and I thought this is going to be quite tame. And it was, I think
Sensory overload.
it was. No, you know what I mean? Though North Berwick is sensory overload,
Yeah, it
isn't
is.
it, as a
Yeah,
golf
yeah,
course?
yeah, it is.
That could probably go into a narration, actually. So that's possible.
Not going down that superlative route.
But yeah, Royal Aberdeen, class place, clubhouse, so good.
Yeah, what a
so
feeling.
good.
Bit Richie Ramsey overload though, isn't it? Richie's up on the walls.
Nice
he's up,
big
He's up in the
painting.
toilet. He's everywhere.
Oh, he's everywhere there. He's everywhere. And you've got a bit of Paul Laurie there as well, but it's mainly Richie, bit of Walker Cup stuff, because obviously they played the Walker Cup there.
Played the Scottish Open there as well. That Justin Rose won.
US Am stuff.
Yeah.
They didn't play the US Amateur there.
No, but his US Am stuff is on there.
Yeah, I know. That's just,
And you, I mean, a little highlight from that round's got to be your 3 on,
Eagle, yeah.
Yeah,
I'd
that
say
was nice.
6.
I'm going to put it out there. I'm not as good at golf as these two, and I don't get as many eagles, and I'm nowhere near as cool as I should be when I do get eagles, because I was like shouting about it for the next sort of 2 hours. But no, that was nice. Eagle in the whatever the 6 par 5 6 whatever it was. That was.
And Jordan off 9 was sneaky good with a 1 iron in his hand.
One eye was.
He's the only man I
Filthy
know
stuff.
that carries a 1 iron.
Yeah.
Him and Thor. That's it.
Yeah, Thor's hammer.
Yeah. But
That's
he
good.
was
What a
Royal
nice
Aberdeen.
friendly match.
Yeah, that's disappointing. So me and
which
Mills
was-
were, I mean, we were going good, weren't we? I think we 3 or 4 up at one point.
Four up.
Four
up.
up.
4 up through 8. It was like watching.
We barely dropped a
It was
shot.
like watching the amateur all
on the
over
front
again.
9. I think
Yeah.
I've got to be no more than 1 or 2 over on the front 9. You're no more than 1 or 2 over on the front 9. We're really playing pretty solid. You've had a few bad holes.
Oh, yeah, I was
We've
playing
had a few putts
badly.
go in.
Bruce was somewhere between Nagbita and Ulnar.
Yeah.
It got to that point in the
Fighting
match
swing.
where genuinely on the front 9 I thought, we don't want to completely destroy Jordan on his home track here. Maybe, hopefully Bruce rolls a few birdies in and we make a close game of it. And then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
Got into gear.
The chokehold came in.
Yeah.
It was a slow death, wasn't
you
it?
and me were just spraying it everywhere.
We
that came out.
dovetailed particularly badly, so we both gave them holes before we stepped off the tee box, which was quite nice. But no, it was pathetic run home from us. We did like the golf course on the way home, but the golf was awful.
It's just funny how that happens, though, isn't it? You can. My start there, like that's as poorly as I can remember playing in a long, long time, and you just feel like, how are you going to keep the ball in play? And then it sort of turns around and goes the absolute other extreme on the back nine. But and almost the kind of reverse happened with you guys, strengely. Playing really, really steady golf.
I think there was quite a bit
just-
on the
it's just
trip
funny
of
how
fairly
that,
polarising golf. Whereas when we've done on other tours,
Just
the
been
golf
steady.
seems to feel pretty steady in terms
Yeah.
of an ability. Whereas, I think all of us can say pretty confidently here, I'd played 9 and 18 holes where I probably wouldn't have broken 90 in continuous stretch. And I've had other 9, 18 holes of just level par stuff,
Yeah.
which was... I don't know.
strange.
Maybe the golf was genuinely that changeable, or maybe the conditions and playing those types of tracks means
Bit of
it's wide
fatigue.
open.
But we've all played good and bad golf, but I'm really conscious that we've tried to be a pod that stays around the 30-minute mark, and we are waxing lyrical. So
Well, we've got to talk about Kingsbarns.
we've got
and then
one more
we'll-
to go.
yeah.
Bonus round number 2. Kingsbarns.
Kingsbarns.
Not safe to say, not an old Tom course.
No. So what are we at? 1850 at Prestwick.
Neither was it James
1600s at North Berwick.
You say that. Kingsbarns, there was golf played at Kingsbarns in 1850s, 1860s.
Correct.
So there is a really cool story.
It's a great
there.
way of actually selling off. One of my knowledge points is you own that, Bruce, and that's.
I think it's one of David Roy's knowledge.
I got it from David Roy and then
Okay,
sold it
brilliant.
back
So
to
we've
Bruce.
now got Sam who's just claiming factoids out there. Brilliant.
I've got proprietary control on that story.
Kingsbarns, thoughts?
Sick. They're so good, aren't they? Annoyingly, they are so good. These kind of commercial places, like Kingsbarns, they just do it so well. Like, you know, the course is insanely good. You can see why it's held in that regard. Yeah. It's got nowhere near the history that you've got at a North Berwick or a Cruden Bay or Royal Aberdeen or a Prestwick. And you're just smiling ear to ear playing it. It's so good. I thought what's quite interesting is the way the course is always compared with Castle Stuart.
Yeah.
I think obviously the Mark Parsonen influence, the fact that he was involved in, you know, the development of both places.
Stuart McComb as well.
Stuart McComb, Scotland. It sits very much in that sort of market of, you know, very, very premium, not a members club, very seasonal. And I don't think it's really a case of picking between them, to be honest. But I was genuinely blown away by it. I thought the par 3 holes at Kingsbarns were unbelievable.
And what I think probably may go unnoticed, if not that I have a trained eye, fuck me, no, not that I do at all, but their rough management was insane. Like, you could be in the rough, you'd find your ball, but you couldn't really do much with it, and it just carried the golf on. They'd clearly done a lot of work on thinning it, but leaving the fescue there and making sure that it was. I mean, I spend a lot of time in rough, so I know my rough, and it was
But it was long,
good rough.
long and wispy, frames the holes nicely, looks a little intimidating as well, but you're going to find your ball when you go in there.
And you can advance it, but you're not going to be able to put a full swing on it.
You're not going to be
grab
hitting
the
green to the
hosel.
4-iron from that sort
It
of
was
stuff.
just, which it seems like a really like inane thing to mention, but it keeps the speed of the round going, and it doesn't detract from the enjoyment by having to spend looking for balls and losing balls. And it was that was one of those little things that you noticed.
It's so playable. I think that's the, you know, was it so we met up with the caddy master after, who dropped us an email the day
Sean
before.
Wiseman,
So Sean got in
Sean.
touch and said, look, you know, kind of wouldn't mind just popping by and saying hi to you guys. And, you know, we had a drink with him after, and he kind of nailed it really in one sentence. He was, I think, in some respects, those courses and clubs have become a bit of a gradient for change with some of the other Scottish older ones, because he's like, look, we've created something here that's really good. It's a great challenge for the professional player, but it's also very, very playable for the high handicapper. So now you don't need to have people going over to Muirfield and spending £300 on a round and pretending to enjoy losing golf balls in the rough. They've had to kind of become more playable. And yeah, I mean, it's just a highly playable golf course, I would say. Kingsbarns, stunning, just delivers on every level.
Can we have a moment for the rakes?
I was literally just going to say that, Some real
You were happy with
innovation
this, weren't you?
on the bunker front. I mean, you wouldn't think there was much scope for innovation with when it comes to bunker rakes, but
They've got these rakes where, like, I need to spend a bit of time on this. They've got these rakes where it's got a handle like a normal rake, and it goes down, and then it's got the same sort of shadow of a normal rake, but where the normal rake teeth would be, it's basically got like a combine harvester roller.
Yeah.
So it's wire roller. So you just roll it across. There's no effort involved. You just push it and it rolls and it flicks the sand up and everything comes out perfect.
it's like a whisk almost, isn't it?
Yeah,
ergonomically,
it's like a sideways whisk.
Ergonomically, some of the best pieces of course paraphernalia I've ever dealt with.
I mean, I was
certainly the best.
I was
you've ever
intentionally
dealt with.
hitting it into bunkers just so I could use them,
Yeah,
because I wasn't a lot of bunkers. And
No.
It was just at some point I was like, boys, you've got to rake this. Come on, have a go.
Favourite holes?
Oh, Kingsbarns.
You knockout ones, aren't there?
8 par 3 was pretty sick.
Yeah.
Is that because you made birdie? Or was
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was on absolute fire at that point. I think I'd gone double 2, and then I'd gone on an absolute birdie rampage then for the next 5 holes or so.
You made 2 birdies and 5 holes.
3 birdies.
It's nice to see an 18th hole at a new course that isn't a par 5.
Yeah,
Just over,
great
you know.
closing hole.
Yeah,
Brilliant
that's a great closing hole. That one with it's got a little burn in front, and that was.
And that's very intelligent. That bridge, that's kind of an ancient bridge they used to kind of use for trade and stuff like that.
But I mean, it's just a really, really solid golf course. I wouldn't. Obviously, you've got the is it the 15th, the par 3, which is world renowned. That's amazing. The 12th, the par 5 along the water, knockout. The par 3s are all really strong. The greens were like, I mean, they were cut so fine. It was like sometimes it's hard to stop your ball when you were putting. Like it was just.
I thought what's quite interesting is the contrast with somewhere like the Castle. So you look at the Castle, and you could be within 20 feet of the pin at Castle, and you've just got 2 putts is a great score. Whereas Kingsbarns, they're big greens, they're contoured, but if you're in the right areas, you've actually got a legitimate birdie chance.
Yeah, they're tricky, but they're not stupid. Where the Castle is, and I think the Castle by comparison just looks like a really half-baked, poorly executed
version of Kings. Yeah,
shout out DMK.
No, but I think
I know that sounds harsh, but
but the greens you can hit the whole bag at, can't you? You've got to find the right area of the greens.
Yeah. Well, as you said, I mean, you've summed it up perfectly. There's nothing really I can add to what you said about Kingsbarns, Sam, but it's just a very, very enjoyable place to go and play golf.
But in the meantime, do keep your eyes and ears out, because we will be dropping films like fire coming in the next few weeks.
Well, today's Monday, we're releasing this. So tonight, or yesterday, if it's Tuesday onwards that you were listening to this pod, Cullen
Links.
Wow, that's quirky, yeah. Talking about quirky courses. We've got Cullen, and then we've
Cullen,
got
Cruden Bay,
an assortment
North
of
Berwick,
the smorgasbord of
Prestwick,
the others to
and
come.
the old course all to come. So keep your ears peeled. And in the meantime, thank you for listening. And until next time.
Adios.
Watch this.